Wait, remember Sym-Bionic Titan? It was Cartoon Network's mecha anime and 80s teen drama inspired masterpiece from the same minds behind Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, and Star Wars Clone Wars. The show's complex writing and interpersonal relationships make the show a fast-paced roller coaster ride of emotions that will make you cry, laugh, maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable, and most certainly will make you wish you had more of it all. But despite the massive amounts of information and character backstory that should feel daunting, the series introduced this new world of robots, aliens, and high school in a very approachable and genuine fashion. Seriously, this show had it all, from well-crafted characters delivering a narrative that you easily attach yourself to, awesome giant robot monster fights, genre-bending action, all culminating in one of the most rad cartoon concepts of the past 15 years. Despite all of its glowing reviews, legacy creators involved, and dedicated fanbase, the series did not run for a very long time at all, the network only allowing one measly season that technically doesn't hit the full endpoint. And the more people who revisit the show or watch it for the first time are shocked that something so lovingly written and thoroughly explored could be put on the chopping block. I know I was! So stick with me as we dive deeper into the story, the rise, the fall, and the future of Sym-Bionic Titan.
They just wanted answers.
And I think we need answers as well.
Now a word from our sponsor.
I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Factor, a service that I have used for the majority of 2020 personally already. Knowing my schedule, working on videos and all that, making food isn't high on that list. I don't have the time to cook, causing me to constantly order in because it was easy. But Factor found a way to make it even easier and in a much healthier and better tasting way. I've been using Factor for fast and healthy pre-prepared meals that come in a delivery kit straight to your door. With a plethora of options ranging from low-calorie, keto, vegan, and vegetarian, there's always something that your taste buds will thank you for choosing. Each week you have a list of highly customizable options to choose from for your upcoming shipments. And for making the meals, it's literally as easy as popping it into your microwave, and in less than a few minutes, a nicely prepared meal is ready to eat. Factor sent me over a handful of meals to try that I hadn't had yet, as well as these plant-based smoothies that I've incorporated into my morning routine. One of my favorite meals from them is cacio e pepe, which comes with nicely prepared broccoli and cauliflower. Eating better and working on my physical fitness are large goals of mine this year. Factor is now owned by HelloFresh, so you now have more options to eat some great meals in various different preparation ways that suit your lifestyle. Head to go.factor75.com/fringe130 and use code fringe130 to get $130 off across 6 boxes. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video.
What are you guys doing?
Bathroom.
Our story starts with the political unrest on a planet called Galaluna. During a violent military coup, Princess Alana of Galaluna is sent off-planet to Earth by her father for her protection when the monarchy falls. With her goes a young, valiant soldier, Lance, who is also established to be the perfect fit from losing all he had to the perfect protector for Alana. Lastly, they are accompanied by Octus, an organic intelligent robot, and the three of them crash land on Earth, specifically Sherman, Illinois, where they must assimilate into normal society so that they can hide away, keeping Princess Alana safe from the brutal forces of the evil leader of the coup, General Medulla, a wicked, unstoppable villain with wicked, unstoppable style and finesse. Also, he was a military general to the king of Galaluna, but then he went all evil, and that's why there's a dangerous world-ending military coup. Our main trio all have the ability to transform into their own powerful individual robots for their own protection. Lance's exoskeleton armor is known as Manus. Alana's exoskeleton, in my personal favorite design, Chorus. Octus, well, when he's not in human disguise, looks like this. But when fights with the brutal bounty hunting monsters prove to be overwhelming for them individually, Octus's technology allows them to combine into a giant robot titan, hence the name of the show. Alana is the heart, Lance is the body, and Octus is the mind, a theme that plays throughout the series for all to unite as one. This specifically I do want to touch on a bit later. I don't know why big mech shows and movies always catch my attention so easily. I remember when Pacific Rim was coming out in 2013. I, being already used to the idea that one or more people have to pilot a giant robot, got the chance to see friends who were just being introduced to this world of these large metal machines. It was quite a time to behold. I'm just happy we get movies like this sometimes. For Sym-Bionic Titan, there's a big focus on their place in Earth society, made clear by the way that they must live in a normie suburb next door to a normie Pixar mom-shaped divorcee named Barb. I mean, come on, man. They also must attend Sherman High and navigate alien social groups and the regular day-to-day life of a teenager in the Midwest. The Titan is also given a place in society as well, some regarded as a savior, fending off the monsters that are wreaking havoc on Sherman, and others consider the Titan a beacon for these monsters to flock to and destroy their city in the process. Ah, good old politics. The main proponent of that last idea is General Julius Steele of the US Army, who teams up with Solomon, the leader of the Galactic Guardians Group, or G3. They're actually gearing up to battle the Mighty Ducks here. That's not even a good joke. Solomon in the whole storyline throughout the season sees him and the rest of G3 as the sometimes allies, sometimes enemies relationship with mainly our main trio, but also with Steele. An interesting middle character that plays some large roles, but it's never too clear about if you, the audience, should trust him or not. While there are a lot of forces teaming up against our main three and constantly trying to find the source of the Titan and uproot their new lives, they discover new talents, passions, and ways of bettering their community, as well as heal from the trauma of losing their loved ones and being radically displaced and hunted.
3 teams, 3 robots.
Got to take care of this beast.
Sym-Bionic Titan is next. It's part of the show. Sym-Bionic Titan will return.
Once regarded as an adorned princess, Alana, voiced by Tara Strong, is free to use her power for good by making change where she sees fit, but she is now viewed as the weird outcast who doesn't dress normally and isn't cool in the slightest. I actually like the fact though that every episode they would change her outfit, giving her more personality based on how she adapts her own fashion trends throughout the series. She is virtually powerless at school given her new status as the weird one, and when she tries to make change, it's often met with strange looks and aversion. But it is admirable that on this alien planet to her, she does her best to be a part of what's going on and wants the best for everyone living there. She's just genuinely a kind-spirited, good-natured person who easily shows why she is considered the heart of the saying I mentioned earlier. Through Lance, voiced by Kevin Toms, it's established that the social hierarchy in Earth High School is determined by the amount of coolness and laissez-faire attitude that one has. Lance is very rough around the edges and initially never lets his guard down, and it very quickly gets downright annoying how he treats everything like a threat, punching a salesman at a mall, causing a 40-car pileup to chase Alana, and even fighting with her about putting furniture in the house. They clearly have many features that make them a bit opposite and less cohesive, a plot point that comes into play majorly later. Once he cools down and realizes that he needs to be more socially aware to blend in, he finds a purpose in vigilantism and music. This allows him to get comfortable and emotionally let down some of his very impenetrable walls. I mean, his father disappeared, the king in Medulla sent him to a military academy, and his whole life has been in relation to being alone and following orders, so it's understandable that he is cold in nature but overprotective of Alana. Because of their opposing personalities, he and Alana initially butt heads a lot in the beginning of the series, but never fear, Octus is there to be a mediator. Octus, voiced by Bryan, takes on the human form of Newton at school, and at home is frequently representing himself as the older dad, Mr. Lunas, or just Newton some more. He actually assimilates to Earth life the fastest, as he doesn't even need to change his personality at all. In one episode, he explores his robot identity and discovers that he is much more than that. At school, his blunt nature is innocuous enough to laugh off, and because he's so genuine and doesn't seem to care what people think of him, his personality quickly catches the attention of Kimi, the popular cheerleader it girl of Sherman High. After a very long and very unexpected dance number, followed by one of my favorite key moments in the entire show, they quickly fall in love and start a very pure and frankly adorable relationship. We will touch more on that scene in the following scene shortly. The three of them become such an endearing team, and there's so much domesticity shown that you can't help but fall in love with all of them, given the time that you're given to spend with the trio. In only 20 episodes, the characters show immense growth and learn so much from each other. I have to commend the writers for not centering a love interest in this trio, because that happens to be something that happens a lot lot, and regardless if the third character is given the same amount of screen time, it's difficult to make sure that everyone has the same amount of attention with each other. For example, Lance and Ilana grow a strong bond, but Lance and Octus separately also have an equally strong bond. Same with Ilana and Octus alone. When one of them is missing, it feels like they have lost a part of themselves, and because of the amazing way the writers are able to set up the relationships between them all, us, the audience, feels it just as strongly as they do. When Lance and Ilana end up losing Octus to this electrical monster, their whole world is changed. Aside from not being able to form into the Sym-Bionic Titan anymore, they just up and leave their home in Sherman. You feel the weight of this loss not only on yourself as the viewer, but you see it in these other characters. But through this, we see this dissonance between Lance and Ilana go away and become stronger as friends for how they operate their day-to-day lives. So when Octus comes back to life, they aren't the same clumsy unit when put together as the Titan, but one that is understanding of one another and is now 100 times more fierce. From the fighting to the strategies, the script is flipped because of well-written characters that had time to grow. Within the show itself and with the audience, the heart, body, and mind unite as one. I also appreciate that they chose to make the one romantic relationship in the show exist outside the trio. Octus and Kimi offer such a unique way of exploring the balances between the job that they have to do as the Titan and the life that they built here on Earth. The fact that Lance and Ilana aren't romantic in this series allows us to build a foundation of deeper and equal love between the three of them that feels so much more genuine than if they would be dating. Or so we think. Making them blend in as their fake brother and sister roles. They would go to the ends of the earth and beyond for each other, not because any of them are romantically involved, but because they respect each other equally and love each other like a family. Octus and Kimi specifically happens in a very unique and organic way that really opens up how we approach a relationship shown in a cartoon. Kimi at first is shown as this antagonist at school towards Ilana, being the popular cheerleader with a mean side, but through seeing how she isn't good with her schoolwork and needs help, Octus becomes her main target. She's used to getting what she wants and tries to present herself in a certain way to get him to do her homework. That's where we come to this famous scene. Yeah, that's a whole lot to take in, but these tactics she's using aren't working and he'd rather help her by teaching her, but more specifically giving her a speech about that she is more than this uneducated person she sees herself as, or how she thinks society views her as. All she needs is the confidence in herself and to apply herself. From there on, we see her slowly become a confident person in herself and how a real relationship forms between her and Octus. It's sweet, charming, and a genuinely more thoughtful way to handle a side character. Yeah, this scene is quite the scene, especially considering this is still a kid's show and this is very suggestive, but it speaks to the point of her character. We don't get this moment and her furthering character arc without having this moment. It's a wild scene that at the same time is way more impactful than it should have been. This level of detail in the story and characters aided by the visuals only happens when the right people all come together to make something special.
Who are you?
Sym-Bionic Titan. New episode coming up next.
Sym-Bionic Titan was created by Genndy Tartakovsky, Bryan and Paul Rudish. Tartakovsky has also created Cartoon Network masterpieces like Samurai Jack and Dexter's Laboratory. He worked on Powerpuff Girls and worked for Lucasfilms creating episodes for Star Wars Clone Wars. In fact, all three of them have worked on these shows together. Since Sym-Bionic Titan, Tartakovsky has directed the Hotel Transylvania movies and started new shows like Primal and Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Tartakovsky is very open about his immigration from Russia to the United States, and I can't help but wonder if that important moment in his life was some source of inspiration for the main trio's immigration to Earth, given that Tartakovsky also moved to Illinois, much like Ilana, Lance, and Octus. A lot of the series focuses on Ilana's homesickness. She learns to share Earth versions of Galilunian food and even recreates a Galilunian Harvest Festival theme for their school's dance. Episodes that dig deeper into the subconscious of the trio show how Ilana is coping with not being with her family on her planet, and having having to deal with the distance and unknown that comes with the inability to communicate with her home planet. The series was previewed at San Diego Comic-Con in 2009, and a year later premiered on Cartoon Network on September 17th, 2010. It was highly rated by both fans and critics alike, sporting 2 Annie Award nominations and 3 Telly Award wins, 1 silver, 2 bronze. The unique mesh of styles is one thing that fans really fell in love with. Tartakovsky shares his overall goal was to create a John Hughes type of feeling, but with robots and action, inspired by films like The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles, but mixing it up by throwing monster and robot and kaiju movies in the mix. Tartakovsky tried to capture the harmony between traditional high school life more frequently found in 80s films, coupled with mecha anime that also was prime in the 80s as well. And he did it masterfully. Visually, the series is stunning, and the characters have that organic, geometric, and outlined Cartoon Network style. We see this style in other works that co-creator and Parshall character designer Paul Rudish also worked on with Tartakovsky, like Samurai Jack and Dexter's Lab, and Clone Wars, just to reiterate. The backgrounds are detailed and rich, and the lighting work is also ambient and beautiful. There were points in which the background design and detail took my breath away, but in addition to technical detail-oriented skill, the artistic intention behind what they showed visually was also handled really well. The animators were clearly not afraid to utilize the dark and took a more artistic approach to visual storytelling. The sound design is also one thing that I would like to talk about, which usually doesn't get a ton of time in the spotlight other than voice actor recognition. The series has so much breathing room that let me breathe in the space and really set a nice tone from the jump. Sym-Bionic Titan is not afraid to use silence to their advantage. A lot of other media marketed towards children try to make up for an uninspired plot by using constant action-grabbing sounds that are fast-paced and don't give the viewer much room to think. Sym-Bionic Titan is like, here's a killer story, we know it's incredible, so we know you're not gonna stop watching. So get comfy and reflect on what we're showing you. We will give you time to do so. Comedically, this leaves a lot of fun opportunities for the awkwardness of high school and alien-earthling relations to shine. This led to me laughing at a lot of the lines and situations that I normally don't think I would have found funny if the other characters weren't given the opportunity or the time to react. And the unconventional use of sound, or lack thereof, made the more tragic events even that much more heartbreaking. There's also some interesting comedic parts to the series that just felt like an elevated sense of humor that kids really wouldn't understand. Usually in a lot of kids content that also wants to speak to adult audiences that are watching it with their kids will allude to adult themes, like suggestive jokes and what have you. But this show makes adult humor without relying on, haha, that's what she said. The entire storyline that we get about General Steel towards the end of the series made a lot of funny critiques of the US military-industrial complex. There has been some controversy on the type of content that the show rated PG included, and no, I'm not exclusively talking about that scene. Once again, the show touches upon a lot of heavy themes that other Cartoon Network series wouldn't dare touch, like torture, on-screen implied murder, and dead bodies. There are some more raunchy themes and suggestive dialogue that is a bit more mature, but if anything, it elevates the show and made me take it more seriously. Because they are in high school, so it's more believable and more immersive in that regard. They don't underestimate what kids can and can't understand thematically. If you do it right and with a gentle hand, more adult themes can be presented in kids' content, and in a lot of circumstances, shows will be better for it. Tartakovsky admits that he had explored the 4 to 12 age range already, and they wanted to handle something a bit older. The creators wanted to emphasize the complexity of teenage life. This resulted in a very genuine and tangible high school experience on the screen. The music as well is diverse and refreshing. It doesn't follow the same few tracks. There's music you've heard before, as well as originals that are made for the series that perfectly fit the theme of what it's trying to represent. All these sounds just keep pulling you back in, and that makes every traditional repetitive giant robot fight mean something new and exciting. It's not, oh great, another giant fight. It's, oh great, another giant fight. Oh, and the voice acting is another thing that blew me away. Aside from the main 3 we already talked about, other side characters here like General Julius Steele, who is voiced by John DiMaggio, Tim Russ as Solomon, and Don Leslie as the grim General Medulla. While the show doesn't overtly end on a giant cliffhanger cliffhanger and we get to see a lot resolved, there are still some big overarching unanswered questions that make the season finale feel just that, a season finale, not a finale to the series as a whole. If anything, it leaves fans craving more and excited for what's to come, which is unknown at this time. Like, what about Lance's dad, and who fixed Octus? Also, what did he do to Octus? And did Solomon have anything to do with it? What's even happening on Galaluna? So many questions that offer an unquestionably great setup for a season 2. And here's where I'd talk about season 2 of Sym-Bionic Titan, if there was one.
Coming up on Cartoon Network, next,
a new Sym-Bionic Titan.
Be all you can be.
Tartakovsky admits in an interview that the main reason for its cancellation was the show's toy market, or lack thereof. Due to inadequate urgent promotion, they didn't get the audience they really needed for the market, and unfortunately the show was canceled after one season with only 20 episodes. The finale aired on April 9th, 2011, and the show's creators as well as fans have been fighting for a second season ever since. So where do we stand regarding the future of Sym-Bionic Titan? Great question. I'll try to answer that to the best of my ability because there's a lot of different factors here to address. Tartakovsky has opened up about the 10 future episodes they established before they found out they were being canceled. It includes a reveal relating to Lance's dad, a 70s musical episode in which Alana falls in love, and much more super epic robot action.
So, what was the worst day you've ever had? The worst day was definitely when they canceled Sym-Bionic Titan. Definitely. I won't forget that. We just wrote 10 more episodes and we were really excited. The show was starting to get its footing a little bit. And then I got called into the head of the studio's office and he said, look, we're not going to make any more episodes. And that's never happened to me before. That's the thing. I've been fortunate enough in my career where everything that I have done will keep going until I say, look, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do anymore. And this wasn't the case. This was where basically they canceled. And the reason wasn't great. And so that was a horrible day. That was the question and answer from the interview Tartakovsky had with Sci-Fi Wire. It gave us a little insight into what this felt like behind the scenes, where the show was at, and that it did have a future planned. It was a shock to both the building fan base and Tartakovsky himself that poof, the show was just over. No closure, no finish line, just over. There was some hope of reruns, which is what Adult Swim did in 2012 and 2014. And there was notice of the attention it was getting. Same with when Netflix added the series in 2019 for a year, but the amount of traffic must not have been enough to get the attention of either Adult Swim or Netflix, and it's currently not on any other streaming service. To make the future even more bleak, a Toonami Tumblr blog posted some news regarding the series, saying that their legal team had informed them in 2014 that the series had been financially written off, and if you watched my Megas XLR video, you know what that means for the network legally. To put it simply, it means that the series is virtually untouchable unless you were able to pay it back in a large sum, because the network basically turned it over to the government to scrap whatever they could get from it. But Alana did make an appearance in the OKKO Let's Be Heroes crossover Nexus event 4 years after that declaration from the Toonami blog, so take that as you will. By the way, what's up with all these great robot-centered shows constantly coming out and constantly being canceled by Cartoon Network? Robot Jones, Megas XLR, and Sym-Bionic Titan all didn't really get that much of a chance from the start. They come out, get a season or two, and then poof, they're gone. On to the next robot show until that one is gone again. But in the meantime, the best way to ensure that Sym-Bionic Titan does have some kind of future is by being loud, like really loud. Let networks know that it is something you want to see, and if they see a large enough audience potential, who knows what could happen. Personally, the show was a genuinely fascinating and well thought out ride. A ride that may not have this big long lasting payoff due to it being canceled, but one where the journey was well worth the investment. I am usually not a fan of mixing in 3D animation and 2D animated shows, as most times it sticks out so much that I don't believe what I'm looking at on the screen and get taken out of the experience. But here, it's done in a tasteful
tasteful way where it feels a bit more blended into the world the show's set up, and acts to only enhance the moments it is used rather than seem like an easier way to finish up a scene. Similar to Mega's XLR, the show had a fatal problem that the more you watched, the more you can understand. How did the show get away with so much that Cartoon Network was alright with it being a kid's show? Rather than airing it on something like, I don't know, Adult Swim maybe. Like, it's not inherently too much where I'm like, oh no, this is not for kids, because there is some good lessons and great storytelling moments that I know I would have appreciated at a younger age. But the themes, jokes, and certain moments all skew towards an older demographic that the show I don't think was going to find on the network. It makes sense that Cartoon Network didn't want to continue with the show anymore, but rather than cancel it, moving it to their Adult Swim block may have been the better option. I know this was a brief time where Cartoon Network was trying to blend the kid audience stuff with the more mature stuff for some reason. I go into that more in an upcoming video about Robotommy, but this idea clearly wasn't the smartest decision. Growing up with a lot of Tartakovsky's work, having seen where his more mature works lead, like with Samurai Jack or Primal, Sym-Bionic Titan had everything going for it to have a successful future. Instead, today, it is remembered as one of the most interesting works of art from Tartakovsky, Andrews, and Rudish that never got to be fully realized. And just like Samurai Jack, it would be awesome to see a revival pick back up where the show left off to give us the rest of the story that they wanted to tell. Hike up the age demographic you're aiming for and let the original crew, Andrews, Rudish, and Tartakovsky, finish this show in a way that honors the fans that have supported this show in the first place. I mean, like I said, Adult Swim aired reruns of this show, which shows some acknowledgement from the network that this is maybe meant for an older audience. So maybe, just maybe, Adult Swim is the right fit for a return to the world of Sym-Bionic Titan. Oh yeah, the whole tax write-off thing, right. Well, never say never, I guess. As always though, I encourage you all to share your thoughts in the comments below about this series and the cancellation. Would you like to see this show get some sort of continuation? And if so, how do you see it being done? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Click the join button to become a member and support the channel. You can find me on my Twitter here, and I'll be back with another video soon, but until then, later.